What's going on, everybody? Your man Eric Wilson here for the Sports Arena. And as y'all know, the NFL 2021 schedules are officially out. So I had to get the crew in here so we could discuss this. And this is going to be a journey, if y'all will. So we need y'all to stay tuned with us because we're just going to do one division tonight. And then we're going to give you the rest at a later time. So let me go ahead and get the crew in here. But before I do that, we have been talking for the last probably 2 hours about a bet that is being made by, from the Say What, Say It Again sports talk show, Mr. Tyree, and of course, my man, Mr. Alex Fleming. So, all right, gentlemen, here is the bet, and we are making this official right here, right now, between the San Francisco 49ers and the, am I going the right way here? Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If Tampa Bay makes it back to the Super Bowl, Tyree, you have to come on the Sports Arena wearing a Bears jersey and apologize to Alex Fleming live and publicly. And conversely, Mr. Fleming, Alex, if the San Francisco 49ers go further than the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl 55 all the way live, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you have to go on his show, Say What, Say It Again, wearing a 49ers jersey.
Oh, my fault.
That's okay. And you have to apologize to him. Now, we this is live, gentlemen, so you both have agreed to those terms. Yes?
Yes, correct.
Farther relates to distance, further relates to knowledge.
What?
Alex, yes or no based on what I said?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That bet has now been official. With that said, let me get the two Cowboy fans in here. Mike Caratanudo, I believe in the Pac-12, and our girl, Miss Megan Price from 806 Sports and the Sip Off. So I want to start tonight discussing the NFC West because the schedule, as I just said, has been released. And Ty, since this is your division, and also Mike, because you live in Arizona, I figured we'd start with this division first. And then, you know, as time progresses, we'll delve into those other divisions. So I'm going to start with, Mike, I'm going to start with the Arizona Cardinals, since, in fact, you're there. So I want to look at this schedule as it stands. And let me just go ahead because I was trying to get a glimpse of it, but I got it. So you start at Tennessee, home for Minnesota, at Jacksonville, at the Rams, 49ers, Cleveland, Houston Texans, Green Bay, at San Fran, Carolina, at Seattle. You don't have a bye week. The Cardinals do not have a bye week until week 12. Then there is the Bears game at Chicago, Rams, Detroit, Indy, Dallas, week 17, and then you finish up with the Seattle Seahawks. When I look at this schedule, Mike, and I want to go to you first, here is what I'm noticing. First off, I personally feel like your week 12 bye week is a little too late for you guys. And when I say you guys, I mean you in Arizona. I don't mean Dallas. But more importantly, you're playing teams, it just seems like you're playing teams that you can beat versus teams that you might have a hard time beating. For example, that stretch of Cleveland, Houston, Green Bay, at San Francisco, between weeks 6 through 9, I'm not sure if Arizona comes away 3-1 or even 2-2. What do you think about that?
Look, they're getting hammered a little bit, obviously taking another linebacker in the draft, but their schedule-wise, how it plays out, I like it for them. I think that not just the Cardinals, but I think the whole division beats up on Houston, beats up on Jacksonville. I think Tennessee will cause some problems because, yes, they can run the ball, but their defense wasn't that great. And then Indianapolis, again, that's the wild card game. But, yeah, I mean, that is a tough stretch. But you look at I think they should beat Minnesota. I think definitely Jacksonville. The Rams, to me, that's when you start. That's when you start obviously balling, like you said, Eric, because you got the Rams, you have the Niners in Ty's team, who now I have to root for them to go the distance somewhat. but then you have Cleveland. Cleveland's going to be interesting too. But their schedule, the way so they have Cleveland, but then they have Houston, who, I said, I feel they're going to beat. Houston's going to do nothing this year. If they win 3 games, I think that'll be amazing.
So that's why, and not to cut you off, but that's what I look at that, because I feel like Arizona might overlook that game, and that's why
no
I
way.
say, okay, all right.
Because two reasons why. If that had been maybe Jacksonville overlooking, okay, but with JJ Watt and with JJ Watt obviously getting released, coming here to Arizona, obviously the trade that sent DeAndre Hopkins here. So there is no way that game goes overlooked. JJ Watt might set a record for like sacks in a game. He might have 9 by himself, just to send a message. And DeAndre Hopkins might have 3 touchdowns. So I just think that, Green Bay, again, and we'll talk about that later. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers is there, it's a different story, but it's a winnable game. It's a home game. And I think they'll be better defensively. I mean, I like, again, losing Patrick Peterson is tough, but you still have Budda Baker. I think drafting Zaven Collins, like we talked about on draft night, that frees up Isaiah Simmons to play more against the slot, against tight ends that are just going to split out, guys that are just going to run. He can run with them. He proved it in college. He can run with the best. So, and I think in the NFL, he definitely could. So I think defensively, again, they're going to have to prove some things, and Kyler Murray's going to have to take that next step. I mean, we always talk about quarterback play. If Kyler Murray does take that next step and the line does do a better job blocking for him, we see what he can do when he has time.
All right.
So I like it.
All right, Alex,
I like the schedule.
Alex, let me come to you, because what I'm looking at, and we'll get to these teams a little bit further down the line, except with the exception, we're going to talk about Seattle. But when I look at the last 4 games, I consider them, even though it's going to be December and Ford Field is a dome, that Detroit game, I feel like, we're talking about Jared Goff, a guy who has seen maybe not this Arizona defense, but has seen Arizona defenses in the past. So I think he might surprise them. You've got Indianapolis, who, again, I feel like we've talked about, we know what Indy's defense is. Yep. It just depends on how much of a role Carson Wentz is going to be at. They go to Dallas, which by all stretch of the imagination, Dallas might be the division winner by this point. They may not be. We don't know. But then they finish with Seattle, which I'm saying could determine seeding as far as postseason go. When you look at that stretch of games, Alex, on the back end, what are you seeing, sir?
I see Seattle playing spoiler. I think Seattle's defense is going to let them down in the division, but they're going to be in position to let other people out of the playoffs. I don't like Arizona's schedule. It's like they're getting beat up just to get right back up, just to get beat up again. It's like, let's gain his enthusiasm and self-esteem. Let's knock it back down. You saw that stretch between week 6 and week 9. That's nasty. They have a good potential to go 1-3. 50-50 chance going 2-2. I don't like the game against Chicago. And I do like the game against Dallas only because they were so dominant. But due to that fact that they were so dominant last year, makes me think that maybe this year, Dallas is going to try to get some payback. I see Arizona 10-7. Real talk.
All right, Miss Megan.
But Alex, Eric, can I say something real quick? Last thing I was going to say, into Alex's point, I don't see anybody in this division, because I just doing the math, looking at their schedules, right? And look, injuries play a role. We all know that. Long story short, with who they're playing out of division, I can see every team in this division winning 10 games.
All right. Well, let me go to Megan, and then I will get everybody else's pick on it. Megan, let's jump up to the beginning of the season, because that's when we really see which teams are going to kind of set the tone, if you will. But you're starting against Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry in Tennessee. Right. And then your home opener is against Mr. Bet on Yourself, Kirk Cousins, and the Minnesota Vikings.
Right.
That game at Jacksonville, which, Alex, I know you're going to be at, is going to be very interesting for me, because we're looking at the future in Trevor Lawrence and the present in Kyler Murray. Mm-hmm. And I think by week 3, Jacksonville will be we'll see what type of team they're going to be. And then let's round it out with that Los Angeles Rams game, 2 road games. Of course, it's a divisional rivalry, so you never know what to expect. When you look at those first 4 games, give me your thoughts, Megan, on just how you think Arizona is going to be able to kind of set the tone.
I think that they're going to actually come out victorious on week 1 against the Titans. Titans are good, but I don't think they have as solid as a quarterback as Arizona. Even though their QB is small, they really added a bunch of weapons in this offseason. And I think that the energy in Arizona right now is really hot, and it's kind of under the radar. They haven't really been talking about them ever since the J.J. Watt trade. So haven't said a whole lot about Arizona. And I think they, as far as that first couple of games, I think they could win. I'm not a believer in Kirk Cousins. He's an OU quarterback. I'm not impressed, and especially not in the last 2 seasons. Jacksonville could be an interesting game. Rams, I think they lose. So I think they could go 3-1 in those first 4 games.
All right. Let me go ahead and get Ty, because this is your division, sir. When you look at this, with the changes that Mike alluded to that they've made, how do you think this team is going to stack rank just in the division, not against San Fran, because we'll get to San Fran next, but just stacked rank in the division? How do you think Arizona is going to fare?
Man, this is tough because outside of my team, this is actually one of my favorite teams. You know, I talk about them all the time. I played in the Madden League last year, and I killed with this team because Kyler Murray is. I know Mike said he needs to take the next step, but honestly, I feel like the only reason why he didn't take that next step last year was because of the injury. He had a shoulder injury. I feel like that really hampered him, and I feel like it didn't only affect his throwing, it affected his running because he didn't want to get hit and land on his shoulder. So I feel like that was a big issue, and one of the biggest issues I felt like with them was the defense, was the pass rushing, because Chandler Jones, he can't do everything by himself. So I feel like adding J.J. Watt is a real big addition. And I like the guy they drafted too because it's going to help out Isaiah Simmons, like he was saying. I feel like in the division, it's tough, man, because I feel like they could be anywhere from the second best team in the division to the 4th best team in the division. I think that the Seahawks or us are probably still the first best team. It just depends. I think it just depends, but I think Arizona's right there. I mean, they could very well be the best team in the division, to be honest with you. They're that talented. Especially on offense, right. Defense, I like the pieces they added. So I think it's hard to say. If I had to pick a number, I would probably say 3rd or 2nd, but I mean, that still would be, like she said, 10-7 or 11-6 or something like that.
So Alex said 10-7. Mike, Megan, Ty, give me your prediction. What you think they are going to finish this season? Megan, I'll go to you.
I think 10-6 is safe. I mean, they possibly could do that 11-7, but I'm really feeling more 10-6.
10-7, you mean?
Oh, that's what I meant. Sorry.
10
wins.
It's that Spurs, Eric. It's that Spurs math. It's that Spurs math.
Oh,
I'm just kidding, Megan. I'm kidding. I say you know what? I'm gonna go because I think they'll pull one out. Maybe that they shouldn't, because they always do that, and you figure drop one that they shouldn't, pull one out that they shouldn't. But yeah, I'm gonna go 11-6.
All right, Ty, what you say?
Yeah, I'm also gonna go with Mike with 11-6. I think they'll split the games. Just for sake of argument, I'll say they split all the games in the division, which gives them 3 losses. What is it? The Colts game, I think that's a loss, and I think the opening game could be a loss. I think it depends, but I think the opening game could be a loss, and then somewhere in there, I think that it's possible. I don't know what Green Bay is going to look like, but if it's Green Bay from last year, I think that could be a loss too. But outside of that, I mean, all the other games are winnable.
Wow. So I'm the only guy not saying double-digit wins for Arizona, even though they have the best wide receiver in the league and they did beef up their defense. I just still look at Kyler Murray, and I think for me, this is going to be a telltale sign of what he's going to be. I think what we're going to see this year with him is going to be the Kyler Murray that I'm going to expect moving forward.
Well, Eric,
so
my thing is,
go ahead.
My thing is this: what they finished like? What was their record last year?
8-8.
8-8.
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel like Kyler was hurt for like 3 or 4 of those games.
Right.
He was.
And to Ty's point too, Eric, I'm going to say this is that Justin Pugh, I know it's not like the hugest thing, but he did take a pay cut. So the chemistry with this offensive line, Humphreys obviously actually finished the season last year. So this offensive line, again, Mason Cole, not a center, but moving him to guard, has a little more depth. And I think to Ty's point, obviously the health of quarterbacks, but this offensive line stays right. We'll see even more from Hopkins, which, I mean, is it physically possible to see more from him?
Yes.
So, yes. Okay. So there you go. So we'll see more from Hopkins. They do need to run the ball. And I do expect Larry Fitzgerald, because, again, they'll let him take as much time as he wants. But I do expect Fitzgerald to be back and just cause havoc, obviously, in the slot. And, again, he can still deliver. So the offensive line, to me, I mean, it overstates the obvious, like we always talk about, but that chemistry, they haven't had this chemistry, guys, in like 4 to 5 years. And Ty, you know this too, because outside of injuries in the division, they haven't had this chemistry on the offensive line.
And Mike, I agree with you. I just need to, the proof is in the pudding for me. And that's why I'm saying they only get 9 wins. I think that extra game is definitely going to benefit them. If by, let's just say, week 6, if that stretch that I talked about, week 6 through 9, that both Alex and I mentioned, that stretch from Cleveland to Houston to Green Bay to San Fran, to me, that's going to show me what this Arizona team can do. If they can come away with, and Alex, we both agree, I'm saying 1-3 like you are, maybe 2-2. If they prove me wrong and get 3 wins, then I'm going to have to say, okay, I was wrong in my assessment. But as of right now, I'm saying 9-8. Alex, I'm going to give you the final word, and then we're going to move to San Francisco.
Addition by subtraction on defense, they got weaker running the football. Connor is not Kenyon Drake. Expect Chase Edmonds and Eno Richardson to step up. I love Eno Benjamin coming out of Arizona, his home state, but they need to fix that running game. I love the wide receiver core. The addition of A.J. Green is going to make this team a problem. Once again, they never replaced Patrick Peterson, Isaiah Simmons. Are you going to show up and play full-time? And I love the addition of Collins, but you got to show me something on D. Right. You are in the NFC West where you guys pick each other apart.
Fair enough.
I wanted to go 9-8, but they have better talent than that, so that's why I said 10.
No, fair enough. And that extra game may be the thing that kind of sets them apart, but we'll see. All right, we're going to move on to the 49ers, but Ty, this is your team. I know you've been looking at the schedule since it got dropped, but let's go over it really quick. I mean, first and foremost, you start with the Lions. You're on a 2-game road trip between the Lions and the Eagles before you are home to host Green Bay, Seattle. Then you go to Arizona. Your bye week is week 6. And like I said previously with Arizona, those are being too late. I think yours might be a little too early, given that there is an additional game. You've got the Colts. You're going to Chicago. Then you've got Arizona. You've got the Rams. You're going to Jacksonville, Minnesota, at Seattle, at Cincinnati. Dirty Birds are coming to you, but then you have to go to Tennessee. What is it about these teams going to Tennessee this year with the NFC West? You got Houston, and then you finish up at SoFi Stadium where Super Bowl 56 is played, and you're playing against the Rams. Ty, this is your team, my brother. Let me hear from you first.
Nah, this is my thing. I want to know how we finished last in division and got this schedule. What the heck? But I will say this, man. I think we'll be fine. We'll come back. We'll be healthy. I think we'll be 1 or 2 in the division. I think it all just depends on health, man. If we're healthy like we were 2 years ago, we'll be fine. I don't see no reason why we can't be the number 1 team. I know the Seahawks are probably the favorite, but that defense is horrendous. But I mean, I feel like if we return, we take back over from the Rams, the number 1 defense in the league, in my opinion. So,
all right. Megan, let me come to you. And again, I'm looking at this schedule. And what I'm looking at is kind of that after the bye week, middle of the road. You're home to Indiana. Okay. So then you got to go to Chicago. Then you get the rematch with Arizona from week 5. But you're playing 2 divisional games back to back. And then you got to go on the road in November to play Jacksonville. And not saying that Jacksonville's like, the frozen tundra or anything, but sometimes West Coast teams don't play well.
Don't sleep with them.
No, I'm not sleeping on them. But what I'm saying is, I'm
Don't
actually
sleep
giving
on
credit to
them.
Jacksonville. Is what I'm saying is sometimes West Coast teams don't play well East Coast. So,
I mean,
Megan,
it's true.
that being
You know,
said, Megan, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, just want to get your thoughts.
I really think that stretch that you're talking about there, right there, is going to tell a lot. I don't know if they beat Indianapolis. Indianapolis is kind of the wild card for me this year, just kind of waiting to see how they look. They were a really great team. Them and Washington just basically needed a quarterback. They were very complete teams. And so I think Indianapolis is going to be really good this year. But I think they do catch that win in Chicago, even though it's going to be really cold. But as Ty was saying that, he considers San Francisco might be 1 or 2. I agree, but I got them at the 2 just because I think the Rams are the team to beat this year, not the Seahawks.
Okay, Alex, let me go to you with San Francisco because, again, let's look at the end of that. It looks to be on paper from week 14 to week 18, the only team that I can see San Francisco losing to respectably is the Tennessee Titans. They're going to beat Cincinnati, even though they're in Cincinnati. They're going to beat those, as you call them, the Falcons. Tennessee is going to be my difference maker, or the loss that they get. I see them beating Houston. And then depending on what happens with the Rams in week 10, I think they might split. So if they lose to the Rams, at home, that Monday Night Football matchup, they're going to come back and beat the Rams at SoFi Stadium. What do you think?
You assume too much.
I do.
Let's look at the schedule. They're going to lose to Indianapolis. Okay, Carson Wentz with a bunch of bombs in Philadelphia took out San Francisco last year. Imagine what he could do.
With a lot of injuries, throw that in there.
Excuse me, sir. My time. Imagine what he could do with the Super Bowl caliber defense. T.Y. Hilton, Zach Pascal, Mo Alley Cox, Michael Pittman, and that dude from Wisconsin who's got plenty of tread left on the tires. They're going to run through San Fran. Number 2, Megan was right. That game in Chicago, it's going to be cold. Now, I don't know about you, but those Cali boys don't play too well when it comes to the cold. I don't see Colin Kaepernick and anybody with some heart on that San Francisco D. All right. Trey Sermon played in Ohio State, but he probably won't be the starter unless Mostert comes out. Oh, speaking of that, injuries. I mean, Jimmy G gets hurt. He gets hurt. He gets hurt more times than Usher in a video. For real, he gets hurt. And offensive line, I mean, there's a reason why you drafted 2 guards, 2 corners, 2 other running backs, Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon, a safety, and a quarterback, because you don't have faith in your own quarterback. The Rams are the class of that division. If you didn't know, you need to ask somebody. Seattle barely won a division last year and still got bounced by the Los Angeles Rams. So unless you know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And I think the Rams are the better team in that division. If I take a long look at it, I'll be nice. 11-6.
You're saying.
So let me ask a question. He did all Alex, that mouth running.
Are you saying the 49ers are going to go 11-6? Is that what you're saying, sir?
I'm being nice. 11-6.
Wow. He ran his mouth like we was about to be 2-15. How y'all deal with him every week, man? That's all I want to know. How y'all deal with him every week?
All right.
Twice, and they lose to Seattle.
All right. Okay.
All right. Mike, hold on. Let me ask you one question, Mike, and then I'm gonna let you go on this one. At some point this season, and Ty, I definitely want you to weigh in, but I want to get Mike's point on this first because he's unbiased. Mike, do you think at some point this season we see there is a Trey Lance sighting?
The easy answer is if they're winning, and if Alex is right, to his point, I know he said Jimmy G getting hurt. My short answer is no, because if they're 11-6, they're battling for the division. If they're up top like that with the Rams and the Cardinals, I think the Seahawks, again, offensively are there, but I'm with everybody else. Their defense is trash. So I think the Seahawks can still win 10 games, which again isn't bad, but they could be the bottom of the division. That being said, if the Niners are winning, you're not putting Trey Lance in. If Jimmy G goes down and Trey Lance is winning, then that easily answers your question. Yes, we will see him, but I mean, look, if you start, if he comes in and he gets the playbook and Kyle Shanahan is just like, let's just roll with this kid, I don't know if I'd pick him to be the best in the division. And to me, Alex and Ty, to your points though, if Richard Sherman does re-sign, because I think with Salah leaving, they need Sherman to re-sign. And he said that they're in the hunt because he makes a huge difference with that secondary. The Rams have the defensive line. Yeah, exactly. Just a teeny bit of difference, right? But the Rams have the best defensive line. We know it. Whoever you put next to Aaron Donald is going to go get a $90 million contract. And Alex, you did point that out to me 2 weeks ago. But whoever gets put next to Aaron Donald is going to get a $90 million contract.
You saying they got the best defensive line in the division or in the NFL?
To me, the Rams have the best defensive line because Aaron Donald by himself is the best defensive line player in the league. But I think the guys they still have coming back, I know Brockers went to Detroit too, but with what they have coming back, I'll take the Rams defensive line over anybody and take everybody's abuse afterwards. That being said, though, for the Niners, they get Richard Sherman back. They are. I'm without. I think they're. I don't want to say easily. It's not easy in the NFL, but they're 11-6 because, like you said, Eric, that stretch with the Bengals and Alex's Falcons, and then Tennessee again at that point because Tennessee's defense. Look, the offense wasn't the issue. The defense towards the end of the season, though, was starting to get gouged, and we all noticed that. If Vrabel doesn't, if that defense isn't fixed, Tennessee could be at the point where they're just thinking about playing golf. So I think the Niners will go through them, even though it is on the road. They're going to destroy Houston. I mean, if Houston wins a game this year, seriously, guys, I will do 5 shots of tequila on this show. And Eric, I don't do tequila anymore. I will do 5 shots of tequila if Houston wins a game this year.
I'm sure they're going to win at least a game.
They're going to win one.
Against who?
Because I'm pretty sure at some point they play the Jaguars.
That's Jacksonville's 2 of their 4 wins this year is against Houston.
Okay. All right.
5 shots. I'm just saying. The Niners, you re-sign Richard Sherman, and if they're winning like that, we don't see Trey Lance unless he starts the season.
Okay. The Richard Sherman thing, I don't know, man, but he kind of overrated to me. And the reason why I say that is this, man. When you got Bosa and them boys is healthy, I ain't gonna say it don't matter who's at corner, but it matters a lot less if you get in the pass rush. If the quarterback's laying on his back, what the corner need to cover for?
Alex, don't yell at me for being a homer right now. I'm bringing this back to the Cowboys because I know you'll support me on this point. Ty, you are 150,000,000% wrong. And Eric can vouch for this too. When DeMarcus Ware was destroying right and left tackles and putting quarterbacks on their back, they had nobody in the secondary that was that could cover.
But
that stayed healthy.
This is the thing. All you had was D. Law. We got 3 or 4 guys that can rush the passer. D. Ford is a good pass rusher.
I think that when Parcells was there was more than that. This is getting where I'm not going to get off subject. I'm just saying, you're right. If Bosa and them are healthy, it makes a huge difference. Yes, cover all corners and safeties look better when the defensive line gets there. I'm not taking that away from you, but I'm saying when you have a guy that's getting there and constantly getting quarterbacks off their mark and crushing them like DeMarcus Ware did, again, that line was not that bad. I'm not saying it was great, but they got a lot of pressure when he was there. It makes a big difference.
So let me just ask you one question, and I'm gonna leave it alone.
Okay.
When the Giants made the Super Bowl run with us 2 Super Bowls, you think that defensive backfield was good?
No, it was above average, but the defensive line was the best in the game, hands down, and it was so great here.
So what's different than what I'm saying right now?
With what though? Because the Cowboys didn't have a corner. That secondary was good.
I'm saying what's different than what I'm saying about my team. What's different?
Michael, let me kill this right now. Fred Warner was all right. You remember the year that they actually—
You can't say he's all right when he's an all-pro. Come on now.
They had 2 defensive backs that got picked on the whole damn game. One of them was Sherman. The other one was the one who was playing nickel. Okay? Sherman has lost a step. If you didn't need to hear that, I'm telling you. He lost a step. Your linebacking core doesn't scare anybody. Okay? And that Lenore, all right, there's a reason why he went in the 5th or 6th round. He's not that good.
But how you
not that good? And newsflash, Robert Saleh is gone. He was the defensive coordinator. He was the brains behind that defense. Bosa may not stay healthy.
But see, This is how I know how you just be talking. Because
50-cent piece, okay?
no, but Alex, this is how I know you just be running your mouth. How you gonna say Fred Warner was okay and he was first team All Pro? Okay, come on, you got to stop it, man. Like you can't just get on here and just talk. No,
First team
you can't say
All-Pro.
somebody was okay when they first team All Pro.
I'm with you on that.
Okay, to be
and I didn't say Sherman was good. That's great. I said
No,
he's overrated.
but Sherman's experience. But Sherman may have lost a step, and I won't disagree with that, Alex. But you can't get 6'3" length in the secondary and still with his smarts cover like he does. He's smart. If he comes back in that secondary, I'm not saying he goes back to All Pro, leads the league in interceptions, but it's a huge piece because the drop off to me, that's where, yes, your point will be correct. Their secondary probably will cost them a game or two.
All right.
That's all I'm saying.
Let me go around the horn because Alex said 11-6, which I will admit, sir, you have surprised me. I did not think you would give them that high of a mark. Megan, what do you think the 49ers record is going to be?
I mean, contingent on them being healthy, I don't really think they have the toughest schedule, especially from week 11 to week 18. There's 2 games that I feel like are possible losses. Because I think they lose at least one to Seattle, and they lose that last week to the Rams. But I think every single game in between that is completely winnable. I don't know if I want to do 12-5 or I think they're pretty good. This division is like the division of juggernauts for me. I'm glad we started with this division. I think they're all, I mean, Arizona is probably going to be last, and they're a really great team. So the entire division's good. So I'm going to say 12-5.
Okay. Ty, this is your team, my brother. What are you saying?
14 and no, I'm sorry. 13 and
4.
Yeah, 13-4.
Mike?
Oh, well, I'm going with Megan. I'm going with 12-5, but I will disagree real quick because the Seahawks actually will be at the bottom of the division,
I mean,
even though they'll
possible,
be way over 500.
All right.
But you get
enough.
my point.
Again, I guess I'm the only one here that is trying to think realistically about this schedule because as Alex has said, they beat up on each other so badly, but by the time they get to the playoffs, they have to overcome what they did in the regular season and elevate themselves to that playoff stature. I'm looking at this and I'm saying to myself, again, I mean, I'm still saying 9-8 because I have more faith than y'all do, I think, in the Seattle Seahawks, and we'll get to them. But the Rams defense, and you know what? 9-8 is my schedule. I mean, my prediction. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk the Rams, and I'm going to tell y'all why I think the Rams are going to win the NFC West. More with the Sports Arena. We'll be back in just a moment.
Connecting your brain and body with interactive games and tests. Why is there no physical activity in today's health physical? Trazer is an holistic technology used to rehabilitate, prevent falls, and improve sport performance. Trazer reports provide you, your clinician, your physical therapist, or athletic trainer objective data to make decisions on your health and performance over time. Measure what matters to change your game. Take the Trazer Challenge. Confidence, growth, connected by Trazer.
And welcome back into the Sports Media. Marianne Wilson alongside Megan Price from 806 Sports, Alex Fleming, Florida Sun, Next Gen Sports Network, Ty Ray, Say What Say It Again Sports Show, and Michael Caratenuto, Believe in the Pac-12. So let's keep it moving. And before we went to break, I said, I guess am one of the few people that have faith in the Los Angeles Rams. And here's my reason why, before I get into their schedule. For all that Jared Goff was, now that he's in Detroit, I am, and I'll be the first one to say this, I have never been a Matthew Stafford fan, but I am actually looking forward to seeing his production under Sean McVay as now the head coach, well, still the head coach, working with a true veteran quarterback. Matthew Stafford, for everything that he has been unable to do, I think this is the year of reinvention. Now, I take nothing away from that offense, but the durability and the mental toughness that Stafford is going to bring to this Rams offense, I think is going to be the reason why they excel and win this division. Not to mention, you have the number one defensive player in the entire NFL, Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald takes on two offensive linemen and pushes them back. That's how good he can be. So that's why I say, looking at this, I feel like they are going to be the team to win. But again, looking at their schedule, you've got, excuse me, you start with the Bears.
Sunday night football.
My hope is that it is Justin Fields, because I want to see what this young man can do against the best.
Yeah.
Alex, hold your thought on that. I want to see that for this simple reason. I want to know if this young man's got that Ric Flair mentality. I want to know if he's got that to be the man, you got to beat the man. Can you imagine, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that Justin Fields start week 1 and the Chicago Bears on Sunday Night Football, find a way to beat Aaron Donald and the Rams? Come on. You have to give this one to me. It's going to set a precedent with Chicago is really about that change. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. All right. Then the Rams go to Indianapolis. Then they are hosting the champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, followed by the Arizona Cardinals. They go to Seattle. They go to New York, Detroit, Houston, Tennessee, San Fran again. So in that stretch, I'm seeing several wins there. They've got their bye week, week 11. Then they go to the frozen tundra right after Thanksgiving. And I think that's going to be a telltale sign as well for this Rams team. Because as much as I say West Coast teams sometimes can't play well on the East Coast, sometimes they can't play well in the cold either. And the frozen tundra might just be frozen. Then they host Jacksonville, which, Alex, you're just traveling all over the place. You're going to be in Houston. You might be in LA, not once, but twice. I mean, going to Arizona. You're hosting Seattle. Sorry, guys. Minnesota, at Baltimore, and then you finish up with Ty San Francisco 49ers. So, Alex, I'm going to look at you again with this and say, when you look at this Rams schedule, what do you see with this team as far as not only having Matthew Stafford, but where do you see them in this division?
I see a hungry quarterback who's been losing a lot, who's actually on a team that's well ran. I see an offensive line that's been rebuilt with an anchor at tackle so he doesn't have to look at his backside. I see a running room with Cam Akers and Mr. Brown that's much better than whatever he had in Detroit. I see a wide receiver core in Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. That's a problem, with an added addition of Jacob Harris, UCF. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. Grab him late in your fantasy drafts. I see a defense that only got better, with the best shutdown corner in the game with Jalen Ramsey and the number one defensive player in the NFL in Aaron Donald. And that's why they're the winners of this division. The coach is smarter. The players are better. The quarterback's not shaky. And they can run the football. The Rams are the complete package and the only threats to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 12-5.
Wow, 12-5. Okay. Mike, you're shaking your head no, sir. So I'm going to go to you. Give me your thoughts on it.
Well, I don't think they're the only threat. That's what I'm shaking my head at. But no, I'm with that on the Rams. And plus Raheem Morris now coming in as defensive coordinator too. I love what he does. I love obviously what the defense can do. Like we said, you inherit somebody like Donald. You have a guy like Jalen Ramsey in the secondary. The linebacking core in general, at the end of the season, I know wasn't. I mean, yes, Donald was banged up, and some of the linebackers are banged up too. But yeah, he did in Detroit. This kid's toughness is ridiculous. And he did it for a franchise where, of course, when he was at Georgia, he famously said, well, why wouldn't I want to be the number one pick and go play with Calvin Johnson? Very smart for him to say that, and it worked out pretty well for him. But, yeah, I'm with Alex on that. I do think they are the best team in the division. with the addition of Stafford. And yes, because of what the defense can do as well. I think they punch a lot of people in the mouth. Look, I was shaking my head, Eric, when you're saying Justin Fields start. I get baptism by fire, but I'm sorry. Even if I'm at that level and I'm an NFL quarterback, I don't need my baptism to be against Aaron Donald. I have no problem waiting the next week. Indianapolis defense is good. There's still not Aaron Donald there. I'm with you, but either way, I think they definitely, man, because then you get Arizona and their 2 Monday night games, guys. This is awesome. The 2 Monday night games, week 10 against the Niners, and then week 14 against the Cardinals. So, yes, even the East Coast bias knows to put those games on Monday Night Football because that division is going to be is absolutely sick. But, look, everything they've done defensively, it is going to come down to Matthew Stafford. He says that, there's expectations and pressure that he never had in Detroit. I mean, he had it in Detroit because if he didn't play well, they couldn't fight for, wonderful 7-9 or 8-8 seasons. So but now it's legit. This team can get to the Super Bowl. This team has the pieces. And like Alex said, with those receivers, Sean McVay loves everything out of play action. They can run the ball. I'm just going to say this right now. They win the division, and I'm saying they go 13-4.
Wow. All right, Megan, I'm going to go to you on this one. Give me your thoughts on the Rams. And 13-4. Wow. I honestly, I will be very honest. I did not have them going that high. I was along the same lines of Mr. Fleming. Just because
I have them going that high. I have them
13-4.
I
Wow.
do.
Okay.
I think that the difference maker is going to be Matthew Stafford. As we were just talking about, some West Coast players don't play well in the North or in the East during when it's really cold, but Matt has been doing it his entire career. So, he's going to be able to be that difference maker in one of your most important positions, quarterback. So, Kupp, I love Kupp. He's, UT alumni. Love him. He's one of my favorite receivers. I always pick him up during fantasy. Just absolutely one of my favorite receivers. So I can't wait to see what those two do together. 13-4.
All right, Ty, let me ask you a question. Week 7 in SoFi Stadium, the Detroit Lions are coming to face. It's basically a role reversal, if you will. Jared Goff is coming back, and Matthew Stafford is playing his former team. So it's like, what if you're a betting man on that game? Who do you think is going to have a better game quarterback-wise? Is it going to be Matthew Stafford or is it going to be Jared Goff?
It's the person that has the most hands. That has the most spades, just like in the game of spades.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Matthew Stafford got big joker, little joker, the deuce, and the ace of spades. My guy Jared Goff, he ain't got none of that. But now, it's just this division, man. It's the reason why we call it why I call it the NFC Best, man. You literally got 4 teams, and all of them I could legitimately say could probably win the division, man. That just speaks to that, and I think this is the only division where any of the 4 teams can win, except for the NFC East, because I don't know either. I think any of the 4 of those teams could win it too as well. I know we're not talking about that, but
not yet. We'll get to them, trust me.
Yeah.
But all right, then give me your thoughts on the Rams. What you think their record's going to be?
Man, it's tough because I said what I say.
Well, you said 11-6 for the Cardinals, and then you said 13-4 for your squad, the 49ers.
I'm gonna put them in between us. I'm gonna say 12-5.
So we got 3 votes for 12-5 and 2 votes for 13-4. Megan and Mike. Listen.
I agree with Alex. Hold on, I gotta change my. I gotta change my thing now, man.
If you can't see it, but he's glaring at you right now like this.
All right. So let's round out this division with Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. And for all the talk that is what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, I think, have we finalized that Russ is in fact staying in Seattle? Mike, you're shaking your head, but there was talk after the season that they needed to basically get him an offensive line so he's not scrambling for his life each and every week, or he was going to search for possibly greener pastures. I'm just saying. I know the talk. Go ahead.
They have to agree to trade him, obviously, and he put his teams out, and the Bears drafted their future quarterback, so they're obviously not going to get rid of Justin Fields to trade him to Seattle. Look, it is tough because the thing we always talked about his first 4 or 5 seasons, everybody always saw was he's not taking hits. I mean, everybody talked about the upside of RG3, and then Russell Wilson comes in and saying, "Oh, he's too small. How did he become a starter?" And he eludes people and gets out of bounds. Eludes people, slides down. Eludes people, gets out of bounds again, delivers passes. Yes, it helps when you start your career with Marshawn Lynch. We would all agree with that. But that still being said, he made the throws. He improved. He took those steps. So, yes, he will keep them in every game. If again, yeah, could it happen? Sure. I mean, I don't see it. I know Pete Carroll, they all say, "Oh, everything's fine." And I don't see him gone.
Okay.
And if he is gone real fast, they will be dead last in the division. It won't even be close.
Well, of course. I mean, but you have to figure injuries. We're talking about this as the teams are staying healthy throughout the entire season. We're not talking health. We're not talking injury. We're not talking personal issues. Some people may still not want to play because they choose family over, being out there and traveling and potentially getting COVID. So we're not factoring those things in. What we're simply saying is the season's going to go as constructed. Everybody's going to remain healthy. And each week we're going to get the 2 teams that are playing each other at their very best. So with Seattle, they start at Indianapolis. So it's Russell Wilson versus Carson Wentz week 1. I'm very interested to see that matchup. They've got Tennessee. They go to Minnesota. They go to San Fran. Then they're home for the Rams for a Thursday night game before they go to Pittsburgh. Then they're home for the Saints and the Jaguars. They've got their bye week straight in the middle at week 9. Again, going to Green Bay Sunday, November 14th. It's early enough to where I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. I might be wrong. I don't think so. Then they host Arizona. They're coming to D.C. to FedEx Field to face the Washington football team.
Monday night.
That is a Monday night game. Yes, sir. 49ers at Houston, at the Rams. The day after Christmas, they're playing Chicago, hosting Detroit, and they finish up at Arizona. So, Mr. Fleming, when I look at this, I know what Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf and Chris Carson and Russell Wilson can do, but that defense, even with Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Even with Jamal Adams, I feel like it's still a question mark. It's up in the air, sir. What do you say?
I'm supposed to be drafting right now in one of my leagues that's actually West Coast, which gives me inside information on the NFC West. That's why I'm not bothered about the San Francisco 49ers or the Arizona.
What do the San Francisco 49ers got to do with this?
About the Rams and the Seahawks. The Seahawks are falling off because they haven't been keeping up on the defensive end. They'll score points. DK Metcalf finished 9th in his Olympic trials, and he ran a 10.36. Okay, they speak without speaking. I am not worried about Russell and the offense, period. That defense is a joke. And you play in the NFC West. Lots of shootouts, lots of heartbreaks. I'm going to go draft in my West Coast League, 9-8 for Seattle.
Okay. Ty, what about you?
So this is where I'm confused, man. This is where I'm very confused. He said he's not worried about the Arizona Cardinals and the 49ers. He's only worried about the Seahawks and the Rams, correct? That's what he said, right?
Well, he's not worried about the Seahawks when it comes to their offense.
No, but I didn't ask that. I'm just
against their defense.
No. But I'm saying
Russ, there will be potentially a shootout.
So what I'm saying, he said he's only worried about them 2 teams, right?
I believe, yes.
Is that what he said? That's what he said, Mike.
Yeah.
So how can he only be worried about those 2 teams, and he's saying that the Seahawks are going to have a worse record than the 49ers?
Because he knows, I think, and I don't want to speak for Alex. He is frozen. We're going to try and get him back in here. What I see, and I might be wrong on this, is the fact that when you look at these teams, what are we kind of focused on as a fan base? We are focused on who's going to score the most points. All right. We know that rainbow that Russ throws to either DK or Tyler Lockett, when he throws that ball up there, they're the only ones who can go get it and who are going to score. So that's why I say to you, I think if it gets into a shootout between, let's say, Seattle and Tampa, or let's just say the Rams, because of their defense going up against Tom Brady and that offensive line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that could give problems. That could prove to be mismatches. But when you look at the other two teams in that division, and I kind of see where he's coming from, Arizona has been on the cusp of breaking that glass ceiling and moving on to that next level. The 49ers, honestly, Ty, I'll say it, they go as far as Jimmy G goes. Jimmy G he's a blessing for you, and he's also a curse. Because when he's on, arguably, one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But when he is not playing, you have to figure out a way to win.
Better as opposed to who, though?
Jimmy G?
No. You saying he's better than most quarterbacks. And I'm saying as opposed to who?
Well, I mean, I'll just take the division. If I take the division, I look at Kyler Murray, I look at Russell Wilson, I look at now Matthew Stafford. And
he's easily the fourth worst quarterback in the division.
No, I would not.
I think he is. Yes, I think he is.
Well, okay. Well, then
I think that Russell is obviously the best quarterback in the division. And to me, it's a toss up between Matthew Stafford or Kyler Murray. I think it just depends on what you prefer. If you prefer somebody that's mobile, or if you just want to go with the veteran guy, I think it's toss up. I think Jimmy G is easily fourth. Worse.
Okay.
I wouldn't say easily fourth. I mean, look, with Jimmy G, the thing is, they took the ball out of his hands a little bit. And Kyle Shanahan, they ran the ball, and everyone was making such a big deal. But it's not hard. It's not rocket science. If the defense isn't stopping my run, I'm going to give it to my backs. I'm going to chew up 40 seconds each play, actually 50 seconds, because I'll snap it at one and let the running backs run crazy. The Packers couldn't stop it. Yeah, in the Super Bowl, look, he is one pass away from possibly being the Super Bowl MVP. So, I do think he's better than, he's in the upper half of quarterbacks in the league. I mean, Eric knows I go crazy about getting into rankings anyway. But that being said, like, if the defense is right, and that's the opposite of Seattle, the defense is so much better that Garoppolo is going to have rooms for mistake. Like, to Eric's point about shootouts, it's going to happen. But, Eric, I will say this about Seattle's schedules, and they always get this. The last few years, even before they added the 17th game this year, obviously, they get that stretch. You look at the stretch. They have Houston, the Rams, okay, which is tough. But Houston's terrible, the Rams. But then Chicago and Detroit, both at home. That's when they're going to make a late-season push right there, because they're going to beat both those teams. And, look, no disrespect to Chicago. I think they could hang around 500. I think if Justin Fields does start the season and play, yes, he will get better. He should get better. Again, it's an Ohio State quarterback. I'm going to wait and see. But that being said, like, that's where you make a run. Houston, Chicago, Detroit, that should be 3 wins. Your toughest games are obviously division. You play the Rams, and then you close out. They come here to close out at Arizona, where they have had speed bumps here in Glendale. So, I mean, I look at Seattle. Yes, Russell Wilson will carry them. There'll be games that are – I mean, to me, the most interesting game on their schedule, and it's not even a division game, it's the Pittsburgh game. Because the Pittsburgh needs to fix their offensive line. The Seattle defense has obviously taken a step down, and we'll see where they're at. And that's week 6. So, but that to me is one of the most Seattle's interesting games, because Eric, that to me sets up your point. How will they be in shootouts the rest of the season? Because Pittsburgh probably should be able to score on Seattle, and Seattle, obviously with Russell Wilson. I mean, the defense wasn't the crazy issue for the Steelers, although they did give up a ton of points to the Browns at the end of the season. That being said, like, Russell Wilson will keep you in every game. So to Ty's point, too, about health, and your point as we're all talking about health, Russell Wilson, is that X factor, because those receivers are sick. He has to be upright, and he can't get sacked as much. But you run the ball decent, and at least you keep a defense honest and back a little bit. But, I mean, I think they finish – I think, again, I would say it would – to me, I would say Rams, Niners, Cardinals, and then Seahawks, but all of them are going to have over 10 wins.
So you're giving the Seahawks 10-7.
I'm going to say 10-7. Yeah.
All right. Alex said 9-8. Megan, what do you think?
I'm going 9-8 as well. I think that their first 8 games, well, not Jacksonville, which is week 8, but so their first 7 games are either tough or questionable. You don't know what the Steelers are going to look like. We don't know what New Orleans is going to look like. We know the Rams are going to be in there playing tough. We know San Francisco is going to look good. Minnesota, Tennessee might be decent, and Indianapolis is going to be good. So, I mean, that first stretch of the schedule for me, this is why I have them last in the division, is because their schedule is tough, in my opinion. Now, they do have that last stretch of like 4 or 5 games where they have, the Rams. Yeah, they're probably going to lose that. But Chicago, Texans, Detroit, they've got those games.
Wow. So you're saying they're going to start out kind of middle of the road, but then finish strong, but still only finish 9-8. Ty, what do you think?
Nah, I got a question for Megan. You said we don't know what the Saints. You don't think the Saints are going to be all right? You don't think the Saints are going to be okay?
I do, but we just don't know what they're going to look like because we don't know which quarterback is going to be playing which game. We don't know which Jameis is going to show up. We don't know. We don't know what their situation is going to look like. Yeah, they're gonna be above 500, but we don't know exactly what they're going to look like on the field. In my opinion,
Aaron Rodgers is going to be their quarterback.
No,
it's not going to be Drew Brees. It's not what we've seen in previous years.
No, it's not. But I feel like Sean Payton. No disrespect to BA, but I feel like in BA's offense, when I'm talking about BA, I'm talking about Bruce Arians. No disrespect to Bruce Arians, but I feel like in his offense, it's a lot of 50-50 balls. It's a lot of down the field. I think Sean Payton will get Jameis Winston right if Jameis Winston quarterback. Now, if it's not Jameis Winston, I don't know exactly how it's going to go. But to answer your question, Eric, I'm sorry. It's I probably had to say I don't know, man. I'm stuck between 10-7 or 11-6, man. Because I really believe in Russell that much, man. I probably have to say 11-6.
Okay, 11-6, and save that NFC South talk because we will be talking about them. Listen, it's very rare that I go truly against Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson has been, I still say to this day that he should have been the guy that Philly drafted, but they screwed up, which they typically do, even though he was drafted in the 3rd round. Shut up, Mike. But when I look at this schedule, again, to everything that Megan said, it's these games that I'm like, okay, you should, if you're going to have a shootout in Pittsburgh for Sunday Night Football, then you're hosting New Orleans and you're hosting Jacksonville. If you lose to Pittsburgh, you already know they're going to come out Monday Night Football because you go from a Sunday Night Football to a Monday Night Football. That's 2 primetime games back to back. Russell Wilson's not losing both of those games.
No.
And then you've got a 105 Jacksonville game, which I'm like, depending on where Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer and the rest of the team is at that point.
And Tim Tebow.
Yes. And it's right before your bye week. You want to finish on a high note. So I'm saying week 6, 7, and 8, I could see them begin there as far as starting to get hot. Now, the 5 games before that, it's going to be questionable as far as what happens.
But I think they catch an advantage, Eric, real quick. I think they catch an advantage because, again, we're all sold on Indy's defense. I don't think any of us here doubt Indianapolis's defense. Yep. But they get them week 1. And look, as much as I, always went to bat for Carson Wentz for you because I didn't think he was a problem until he showed that like he was just a crybaby or whatever. But look, that's week 1. If they're going to get got, Seattle's going to get them there. The Cardinals playing them later in the season. I agree with you because I think Megan said that during the Cardinals is that playing the Colts on Christmas Day later in the season, Frank Reich, they're healthy. Like you said, they'll be in that groove. But I think with going to Indiana, opening up indoors, that could be a shootout right away. But if it is, I'm obviously going to give the advantage to, like you said, Russell Wilson, because again, with Wentz's, there's 3 preseason games this year, at least the first 5 weeks of the season. Hopefully, I pray to God they don't look as terrible. Because Eric, I was texting you complaining about I hear one more idiot say, I was saying this to them all like the first 3 weeks of the season. Then I told him I'm just going to stop because you know how I feel. But the first 3 weeks of the season, I must have like blasted him with about 30 texts. I'm like, for all the morons, and I don't like to call people morons, as that says we don't need a preseason. First of all, you've never tried to make an NFL team, so shut your mouth. Secondly, Like the play the first 3 weeks, don't blame it. People were saying COVID. No, don't blame it on that. It was part of not having a preseason, which they all negotiated. But the first 3 weeks, look, if Alex here, the 5 of us could have been like the quarterback and the running back and the receivers for teams, and it would have looked the same. I'm telling you that right now because that's how annoyed I was with no preseason. But that being said, a full preseason week 1, that'll, to me, I mean, that's not like my most favorite week 1 game, but I think they could get Indianapolis there.
So, Mike, you think they really need 4 preseason games?
No. I'm good with 3. I told Eric that it should have always been 3. It should have always been 3, Ty. But the problem is, like they say,
I think it should be 2.
Well, no, because look, for undrafted free agents, no, because if you're look, there are a few, not many, but there are. I have to look up the number, but there are quite a few actually undrafted free agents. Even back in the day when the draft was 12 rounds. I mean, I wasn't around for that, but the draft was like 7,000 days, and it was 12 rounds. It was like the Major League Baseball draft, which nobody paid attention to. But that being said, like if you're an undrafted free agent, you get an invite. You're already starting behind the 8 ball, Ty, as you know. So my thing is 3 games is perfect. The starters don't need. I mean, come on. After Adrian Peterson's like second season, because Eric and I talk about this all the time. Like he got paid for showing up and just like literally practicing and putting on street clothes. That's it. Because you don't need to play Adrian Peterson if you're Minnesota in the preseason. LaDainian Tomlinson, even though I thought he was a crime, did the same thing. So 3 games, especially if you're trying to make a team, because that's how these teams form their depth. So again, guys might get cut. You might get some undrafted free agent in that balls out of his mind. So yeah, no, believe me, I get if you're a season ticket holder about being forced to buy preseason games. If you get season tickets, you have to get the 2 preseason home games when there was 4. That's annoying, but at the same time, like I always side with if you're trying to make a team and you're right there on that line, and even if they make a practice squad and say even next year they get to the team, it's a huge difference. So I'm glad there's preseason. It makes the play look so much better. And I just, again, because the first 3 weeks, like I literally was like, I'm with people. I don't want to watch football. I was, but I'm like, this is just terrible.
You had to give it, yeah. And to put a pin in this one, Mike made an excellent point. The first couple of weeks, we were so hungry and wanting football that when we got it, we were like, really? It's like seriously, it's like ordering a steak and you order it medium rare and it comes out burnt. I was like, come on. But we watched it because it was what we all wanted. So I said 10-7. So, we're going to keep this going. This is just the NFC West. We are going to get into all of the divisions and give you guys our predictions of what we think is going to happen. So again, Tyree, say it again. Sports Talk Show every Tuesday night, 8:30. I simply love career over because I think Chuck, your boy tonight, said that your career was over, sir, when it came to the 49ers. Chuck was talking a lot of smack on here today. Oh, no, he said Sherman's career was
I was about to say,
well,
Chuck, his career over before it started. He's a Miami Dolphins fan. I don't need to say anymore.
We will get to that, my brother. Appreciate you. As always, Price, 806 Sports, Mike Carrottenuto, Believe in the Pac-12 podcast. We will talk to y'all really soon. Everyone have a great evening. See ya.